right, viewers, let's start with the top focus. US President Donald Trump has confirmed that many Cuban soldiers were killed by US forces in the capture of ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Trump made the comments during a speech to Republican members of US House of Representatives. According to reports, Trump appears to hope for now to work with interim President Delcy Rodriguez and other senior officials from Maduro's government, disappointing the opposition and contributing to nervousness in Venezuela. Meanwhile, Venezuela will be turning over 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to the US. He also mentioned that the money earned will be used for the people of Venezuela and the United States. Let's hear that statement from Trump.
It was so complex, 152 airplanes, many. Talk about boots on the ground. We had a lot of boots on the ground. But it was amazing. And think of it, nobody was killed. And on the other side, a lot of people were killed. Unfortunately, I say that, soldiers. Cubans, mostly Cubans, but many killed. And they knew we were coming, and they were protected, and our guys weren't. You know, our guys are jumping out of helicopters, and you're not protected, and they were. But it was so brilliant. The electricity for almost the entire country was, boom, turned off. That's when they knew there was a problem. There was no electricity.
All right, now joining me in this discussion is Spencer Critchley. He's a communications strategist and joins us from California. Thank you very much, Mr. Critchley, for joining me in this discussion. Now, Trump is clearly taking over the oil reserves of Venezuela, and the reason that he cites is to fund his own campaign. How do you see the legality of the actions that Trump is going to pursue?
Unfortunately, I think it's clearly illegal. It's illegal under U.S. law, and it's illegal under international law. Now, many will point to the fact that many Venezuelans are celebrating, unsurprisingly, the removal of a vicious and corrupt dictator. I would certainly sympathize with them. I have no sympathy whatsoever for Maduro. However, Trump himself has made it clear that this has nothing to do with any legitimate defense concerns of the United States. We are not under attack by Venezuela. It has nothing to do with seeking to restore democracy to Venezuela. Obviously, he's entirely willing to work with the Maduro regime. He simply removed Maduro and seems to be choosing to work with all of the other repressive elements and corrupt elements that make up the rest of that regime, and he's made it clear that his primary interest here is seizing control of the oil. So this is just pure corrupt power politics, and it's not just morally and legally wrong, it's stupid and counterproductive, in my opinion, from the point of view of the United States. By doing this, Trump brings to an end essentially U.S. leadership for the past 80 years following World War II by destroying trust in the United States.
Would you also say that it's actually a shift away from his own MAGA campaign promises, where he said that U.S. will not be involved in wars of any other nation? And let's remember that this is a president who had sought the Nobel Peace Prize for himself, the Peace Prize, and then he goes on to launch this aggressive military campaign in another country, capture its leader.
Oh, absolutely. It contradicts his promises to be the president of peace. He was boasting about that just a few months ago. You may remember one of his frequent talking points was to claim he had brought an end to, I think he got the number up to 8 wars, supposedly,
9,
single-handedly, including the conflict between Pakistan and India, to the great annoyance, of course, of India at hearing that claim. Now, all of a sudden, he's the president of military intervention, apparently, and essentially 19th century imperialism. This should surprise nobody, however. Trump's stories change not just daily, but often from hour to hour or even minute to minute. His justification for the buildup of force off Venezuela started out as stopping the flow of fentanyl, supposedly. Fentanyl does not come from Venezuela. Then it became, stopping cocaine. And claims that that's all this was about. And then the moment this raid took place, all of a sudden the whole point was oil.
Well, that's very clear. Trump is a businessman, and that's where his interest lies, and he will go after any territory, nation state, any other area which has rich resources, and that's also evident from his push to take over Greenland. How do you see his approach on Greenland now?
Again, a combination of morally wrong, illegal, and stupid. If you think about the present situation, I just referred to U.S. leadership for the past 80 years since the end of World War II, which was based on the United States committing not to conquer, starting with the nations of Europe, starting with Germany and Japan, but to help rebuild the world and to work cooperatively with everybody else who wanted to work cooperatively. Now, the U.S. has failed to live up to that ideal sometimes, but the ideal has been the basis of trust in the United States and people being more or less at ease with the enormous power that the United States has accrued. Where that brings us today is the U.S. is the wealthiest, most powerful, most successful nation in the history of the world, and Trump somehow seems to think that we're in terrible shape and we're being exploited by everybody else. But if Greenland were to be attacked, say by Russia today, or the United States were to be threatened by Russia or any other foreign power today, all of the 32 NATO countries would be bound to come to our assistance, just as they did after the September 11th, 2001 attacks.
Yeah.
If Trump seizes Greenland, either by force or simply by occupying it, that brings NATO to an end, as the head of Denmark recently pointed out. That means that if the United States is attacked, and let's say that the United States has Greenland at that point, we're on our own. And so, as I say, it makes us much, much weaker by chasing away all our allies. So not only morally and legally wrong, but utterly stupid.
Yeah. And finally, as far as the Venezuela question is now concerned and the transfer of oil, Trump is saying he's going to work with Rodriguez. Do you think that will be a collaboration that he is looking for?
No, I mean, clearly he just wants to be the boss. It was almost funny, it would be funny if it weren't so terribly serious, to watch Secretary of State Marco Rubio in one moment try to claim this was not about oil, this was about democracy and security, and that no, we would not be running Venezuela. And within moments, Trump was saying, it is about oil, and yes, we will be running Venezuela. I don't think Trump has any interest whatsoever in sharing with the Venezuelan people beyond the minimum that he might have to perform in order to try to put a fig leaf over this. As he has said himself, the point of this is to move in U.S. oil companies and pull wealth out of the ground, in his phrase. He told U.S. oil companies, or at least hinted strongly to them, that this was coming before he mentioned a word of it to Congress. That had to wait until after it had happened. I just think that every way you look at this, it's corrupt, it's illegal, and it's stupid, and it just makes the U.S. weaker, while, by the way, making Russia and China stronger, because there's no way that the United States can lecture Putin that it was wrong of him to invade Ukraine and he should leave, because the United States is doing exactly the same thing. And there's no way that the United States can lecture Xi Jinping that he should stay out of Taiwan. Just terrible every way you look at it.
Okay. Sure, Mr. Critchleaf, thanks for your comments there, but I request you to stay on. There's some breaking news now coming in that we'd like to give our viewers. Now,